Welcome, welcome. We are the Business Blondes. We are going to give you, these four bodacious business blondes are going to give you bite-sized biscuits of business wisdom today with your cup of tea. Thank you so much for joining us. You are awesome. You're in the VIP lounge with that little red, that little red rope that says VIPs only, because you've opened your own business. And to me, that means you've made dreams a reality. So you're already in the VIP lounge. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So what we normally do, we've only got half an hour. We like to share a bit of business wisdom. We'll kick off with a little nugget from the week. So Sam, how's your week been? And what's your business nugget for us? Your business biscuit nugget, or whatever we're calling it today.
Loving the new biscuit business blondes, Caroline. Loving that.
Thank you.
Well, I think for me, it was last week I talked about grit, and I talk about that a lot. Grit and tenacity, which are the words that for me always describe SMEs. But this week, my word has become hope, because there seems a tremendous amount of hope and positivity amongst SMEs this week, which is obviously encouraging and amazing. And I think it's born from that grit and tenacity from SME owners to then turn their opportunities into hope and positive vibes. So for me this week, it's all been about hope. There is no negativity around this week at all, which is just incredible. And I'm loving it, absolutely loving it.
That's great. Thanks for that. We all need a bit of grit on our biscuit, and also hope. Hope is the thing. And you know, hope and trust are really hard things to put your shoulder to sometimes, because it's the sort of thing that if you're not in the right frame of mind, hope gives away to nothingness. But we have to have hope. And I get you there, Sam. There's a lot of hope about right now. There's an end of a tunnel coming. Penny, how are you doing? How's your week been? What have you got to share for us to kick off the programme?
Yeah, it's been a good week. I echo what Sam says. It's definitely some momentum happening out there. There's a hell of a lot of connecting and people being really proactive, which I think is fantastic. I'm talking to a bunch of people who started Startup Britain before, when we did that in 2011 with government, and talking about how we need to sort of really celebrate entrepreneurship and how amazing they are. But I think one of the things that I've been really impressed with, I just ran a webinar for one of our sets of clients, and we hired somebody to do it who's from our mastermind, from one of the masterminds we run. And I was looking at her and how she's developed, and she ran this incredible webinar. And she used to have a lot of knowledge in her head, and she would do some work as a coach into large organizations, but hadn't ever really productized it into bite-sized pieces, as I know that Kim is doing something very exciting now in that way, which I'd love you to tell us all about it. And I just thought there is such an opportunity now for people to turn their knowledge into a bite-sized sort of 1 hour webinar. This week, I've been booked for 2 speeches paid through the speaker agency, all virtual. It's definitely happening now. I think there's this real attitude of, you know, we're online. We need to keep developing our staff. We need to keep on developing ourselves. So that's what I've really noticed this week. It's been really exciting, that.
That's great. Thank you. That's a lovely bit of hope as well there, Penny. Thank you. What about you, Kim? How's your week been?
Yeah, it's been a great week, and I think, you know, like everybody else, it's been great to see how much positivity there is and that real can-do attitude. And I think people have been connecting more. So I've been on quite a few either networks or events, and people have been turning up that haven't turned up before, and said, you know, we finally realised that we just need to get out and start talking to people, and we need to get away from hiding away from Zoom and saying we're not going to go on it, or I'm zoomed out, and saying actually we're making some really great connections and we're able to still be doing business. We're just doing it in a different way. And I guess for me, that's probably my takeaway, which is think about what your client is looking for. We can sometimes get a little bit too introverted on what it is we need. So I can't get people into the restaurant because the restaurant's not open. But actually, is there still a way that I can provide them with an experience and delight them where they are, because they probably still want that. So creativity, I think, is mine.
That's fantastic, Kim. Well, you know, far be it from me to get all woo-woo about things, but I will. But I'll keep the woo-woo real. That's not easy to say, the woo-woo real, which is I'm noticing Thank you, Kim, and Sam laughing at my jokes here. I'm having a lot of discovery calls with potential new clients, and the general theme is they want to do something with soulful purpose now. So these are like people who are quite high up in their careers. They could carry on doing the same thing for another 10 years, but there's almost like a soul calling, a heart message, which is, I don't want more of the same of this, but I don't quite know what it is yet. And it's an absolute joy to work with those people because they have an illustrious career behind them. And some of them are on the point of giving it all up to do something finally that is a calling or a purpose or a passion. And I think that is amazing right now. That's a real groundswell of heart, soul-centered business as well. You know, starting a business, wanting to do something that has real meaning and purpose. And I think that the lockdown has created some of that self-reflection, that I've only got a bit of time left. If I have, let's do something great with it.
I love that.
Yeah, I was going to say, Caroline, what is it you think amongst your clients that sparked that? You think it's so much introspection?
I do, but I don't think introspection is always a good thing, because it can make you feel full of doubt and you can get into a dark place with it. But I think they're thinking, this is my job, I'm working from home, I may never go back to an office. What is it I'm enjoying here? And actually it might not be very much. So colleagues and going to work and having office benefits are not there now. So it's kind of like, with all that removed and in the spare room, is this enjoyable? Maybe not. So it's a lot of things have been removed. So kind of stripped away of all the other noise, another voice is coming through, I think.
Great. Thank you.
And we've got Silvia with us today. Not ignoring you, Silvia. Hi.
No, you're not.
I just wondered if you wanted to add anything to that before I introduce you. Have you noticed anything different about your clients or what people are asking for now?
I noticed what's happened is everything digital has been accelerated, and since this pandemic first started, I realized there was quite a moment in which entrepreneurs for the first time started looking at their digital assets. I'm an SEO specialist, so I'm quite into websites and this sort of digital image, but many people weren't really giving so much importance to them. So yes, they had them, but it was like an additional stuff. Now that this has become one of the most important assets, they've been looking at them and saying, I'm really happy with what I have.
Well, thank you, Silvia, which kind of nicely segues into what you do, which is actually provide a kind of female user-friendly version of SEO and marketing with your company, Pink SEO Marketing. And we can tell that you're not a Londoner.
Yes, I think it's very slight, the accent. Now,
So tell us a bit about your journey, because you've done a very brave thing. You've come from another country, come to one of the most prosperous and difficult cities in the world to make a go of it, and you bravely started a business here. So tell us about that phoenix rising from nothing as you arrived back in the UK.
Yeah, well, thank you. Definitely, it's been a massive leap into the unknown because we've never been here. What we knew is that 5 years ago, I was an entrepreneur as I am now, but I was in a very completely different situation because I was living in a country that I personally adore, but where running your own business is extremely complicated, particularly if it's a small business. So I was coming from a place of despair and really struggle and worry. And what I thought is now I want to be given a second chance. So pack up a family and all your belongings, expat into a new country that you never visited, where you do not know a single soul, so you do not have a friend and acquaintance. Just wipe your board clean and you restart from scratch.
Wow.
It's like the second chance, the second life. And I love every second of it. I should have done it much, much sooner. I would have saved some years of mental sanity probably, because now I've started seeing how things should work, how things can work, and it's not been easy in the beginning, because particularly the personal element, the loneliness, if you want. Now, working from home and being isolated, we are back into thinking of this loneliness feeling again. So I am on my own, and as an entrepreneur, particularly in the beginning, when you're a freelancer, you really are on your own. But if you do not know anybody, you feel like an island. So start creating connections, start networking. That's how we met in the beginning, and I'm grateful of every second of it, because I just loved every second I spent since I met you. And yes, get to know people. They're amazing, and follow sometimes the gut feeling. Yes, I really love to be next to these people. Let me try and create connections. And then from personal connections, business connections happen, and you start collaborating and you start doing things together with others. In my industry, it's been great to have so many different connections, because when I moved here back in Italy, we were a marketing agency, so we were doing all things digital. Now, moving here, I said, let me bet on just going very down the niche of SEO, specializing only on something. I really want to go laser focused. So all the rest of the things that we weren't doing anymore, I needed partners. So I am lucky to have found a lot of amazing other business women, because mainly I also work with men. A lot of men, our clients and collaborators are men. But for some reasons, many of my clients and my collaborations are women-based businesses. And I love it, because I love the way we can interact and how we tend to run our businesses.
Okay, Silvia, you know, what you've just said there over the last 5 years is an enormous achievement. And in a new country, not knowing a soul. And I think anyone starting a business takes enormous amounts of courage and self-belief. And to do that in another country from zero is amazing. I think Sam has a question for you.
Yeah, I hear a lot. I mean, I think networking is a bit like Marmite, isn't it? When you're networking face to face anyway, and entering into these big events. And lots of my clients say to me, you know, it's just not me, Sam. I just can't enter into a room not knowing anybody. So I just wondered, Silvia, if you could say, what are your top tips around doing that? Because you've obviously come in from a brand new country, literally knowing not a soul, and you've managed to network, to build a community and build a business. So what would you say to those people that are fearful of networking?
Well, mainly the reason I think that why many experiences in networking just don't work so well is that people generally are often focused on themselves. So this is me, this is what I want to sell, this is what I want to offer, I need to find a buyer. So my reason for being here to sell this apple to someone. Instead, it is much better and more enjoyable and even more useful and profitable if you live it from an altruistic perspective and a place of curiosity. So you start by being there with humility and saying, okay, I know no one, I've got an odd accent, but I am a person, I can get to know you as a person instead of a potential wallet giving me money. And there must be something that sounds with you. So how can I help you? How you can help me, instead of how I can get something out of you. And it changes completely the thing, because basically you are meeting other people. You're not meeting other wallets. So basically there is someone behind you. And when you feel that they get to know you, what do you do? No, I don't need to talk to you. Bye. And you say, okay, just out of the place. Because
I love that analogy of you're not meeting another wallet, you know, because that is so true in networking, isn't it? People walk into a room to find a buyer, and they literally probably have wallet written on their heads. That is brilliant, Silvia. I love that.
Kim, did you have a question for Silvia?
Yeah, I did. And actually, you know, proof that your networking is fabulous, Silvia. We've got Alison Ray Jones, who's put a comment in the chat box. Apparently, you two met at the Mums Enterprise Roadshow a few years ago, and when you were building your business. But again, just shows that when you connect with the person, and get to know them, then actually you end up with friendships that last, don't you? But I guess for me, the other thing that I would love to know, because I think you're so right, you know, trying to connect with the person is so crucial, as well as in networking. Any advice that you could give us on how we do that when we're talking through our social media or through our marketing, to really connect with the people rather than just be thinking about clients being a potential wallet too?
Thinking about needs, more or less, is the same, and it's what I keep telling to my clients or to the potential clients. It can regard SEO, digital marketing, any place that you want to connect with people out there. Think of what they need. Think of how you can intercept their needs. So you've got something that you can offer, they've got something that they need, and you can find a match. With my work with SEO is based on you offer something, they need that, let's make the match. But the same happens with digital marketing, social media, any type of advertising. Particularly nowadays, people search for stuff online, and we are more inclined to search on social media and online than personally, than asking to someone. We search for stuff behind the screen. So if you can be helpful, again, instead of asking, if you can give, then people will remember. The reason why people remember you after a lot of time, again, is how you made them feel and what you gave them. So just by giving them a nugget of whatever you know, whatever is your niche, and we always have got something that we are so passionate about that we can just spend hours talking about our type of geek stuff, and we love it. So whatever it is, there is someone who needs your information, and if you give them your time and your expertise for free, because basically you're giving them a bit of your notions, they will be grateful. And there are so many competitors that they can remember you instead of somebody else because you gave them something for free. You were generous, so they remember.
It's also having the courage to be different from your competitors as well. I'm sure Penny's got a lot to say about that as well, about standing out and making it personal, Penny.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful to hear your story as well, Silvia, because, you know, I'm about to do a house move, and I've lived in Farnham for 31 years, and I'm moving about 3 miles away from where I live, and I'm still scared. So I really take my hat off to you. Yeah, as I was listening to you, I was thinking a lot about your skills around SEO, and there's a few things that was coming into my mind. First of all, what's really interesting about this conversation is that a lot of people talk about financial scarcity, or they come from a place of financial scarcity. What's really coming through here as a message to me is how a lot of us are in scarcity around our time. And I know that, you know, when I think that's something that's actually just really resonated with me about me at the moment. I feel time starved. I don't know if anybody else relates to that. And when you're time starved, it is hard not to be razor focused, isn't it, on things? And so that's what was sort of coming through when I was listening to the four of you talking about that. But going back to the SEO, which is about, you know, all of us ultimately, you know, if we could plop clients into our inbox and just, you know, people who are really interested in what we want to do, then we are going to save a lot of time. And I haven't spent a huge amount on, when I had a business, you know, Academy, we SEO was really important to our business. But I haven't spent much time. I don't look at the SEO of my website at all. I'd love to just really delve into that, because you must come across a lot of people that you know, SEO is at the back of their mind. It's not something they bring forward.
Yes, definitely, because I work with small business owners, and generally when you talk about SEO, they roll their eyes and they feel scared because it's something that's technical and it's generally scary. So but basically it is math related, so there is a lot that basically connects words and maths, people and the algorithm. Now with all that's changed, and there is a part of artificial intelligence in terms of machine learning in the algorithm. It's very high tech, so Google learns from our interactions with websites. And the very best tip that I could give is to be giving the best type of user experience on your site. So the happier you make your website visitors, the best Google will reward you, because it's able to track how much time they spend on the site, how many pages they view, all the tasks that they do, and they will reward you. So the best thing that you can do is to make your visitors happy, and you can make them happy by giving them a fast loading website, a lot of technical things, but also giving them the things that they want to find. So one thing that, for example, SEO can help you with is you unlock all of the things that people search for. And when I speak with business owners and they're a little bit scared of SEO, generally one of the things that they love the most is that it gives a lot of intel within the business. So you discover what people search for, and it's generally something that's completely different from your assumptions. So here are the business owner assumptions and what they think that people search for, and here is what really people search for. And when they say, oh, really? Yes, really. I mean, it's different from what you assume, but it's important to be realistic. So to really bet on what people want to read, to find, and then you basically unlock the demand. You've got the offer, you offer to the demand, and it works like that. So it can be insightful. There is a lot of technique and technology behind, but there is a lot that you just discover on your own audience that you maybe didn't know, and then you say, oh, I wasn't offering that. Now it's insightful to know that they want that. I need to offer that too.
So do you provide that sort of coaching early on with somebody about what their words should be and things? I know, Caroline, you're a huge fan of what Silvia does, aren't you?
She's been through with a fine tooth comb everything, and it is surprising. You think people might put Life Coach London. No, they put all sorts of weird things looking for a coach. It's not what you imagine. And it's like, none of that's on my website. So Silvia helped me come up with different words and go through things that are working and not working. So it's a real voyage of discovery when you use Silvia on your business.
You intercept them, the potential user, when they're searching for the type of things that you offer. So they're using some specific terms, and you get found instead of somebody else. Am I freezing? Can you hear me? I think I was frozen for a second. No, I'm back. Sorry. So it is insightful. It is a source of many aha moments that I love, because then it makes people understand that SEO is something that can really give you a lot of insight, and then you track it. One thing that I personally love is that you measure and you track everything, and it was something that I used to love ever since the beginning. The reason why I started this is that I love numeric proof of stuff. So yes, you tell me this, but where are the numbers? Where are the figures? How do I see it?
I think you're so right in terms of we look at our business through our paradigm, don't we? So and it's all about perception, and sometimes and quite often we get it wrong because we think, well, of course somebody would search for a life coach or a business coach, of course they'd put that in, but actually, like Caroline said, they put in a whole host of weird and wonderful things that we wouldn't see or recognize because we're looking at it through our paradigm. So what you're offering us and SMEs is that alternative view, isn't it? That a different perspective, a different paradigm for us to learn from.
We are a little bit biased because we know a lot about these kind of things, and things are just natural and clear. Instead, generally, we are dealing with people who don't really know so much about that. So all of jargon that for us is just so clear, it's not for them. And they may be in a position in which they need some things that we don't understand because it's their needs. So it is getting to know them better.
If you could give a tip to our listeners today, because we've only got about 5-6 minutes left, what tip would you give them regarding SEO then?
Well, regarding your SEO, is to really become familiar with your site and your assets. So starting to check things that maybe you forgot, because there are a lot of gold nuggets. For example, when I work with clients and they've been having their websites half forgotten for years, there are stuff that maybe they published 3 years ago and they're still amazing, but they're just there lying in the dust. So just remember everything that you have, spend some time, as you do with all of the assets of your business. Just consider your website as an asset, and one of the most important nowadays assets of your business, and spend some time getting to know it better. So does it work properly? Which elements do I have? Do I still need them all? Because there may be stuff that doesn't really represent you anymore because it's 3 years old. So there's stuff that you don't really want to be found anymore for because it's old, it's not updated, and Google loves finding you, updating your stuff. But people particularly, you don't want to be found for stuff that doesn't really speak the part for you.
I agree. It's a bit like having a spare room in lockdown. You look through, you think, I need to throw this stuff out. It's got cobwebs. And it's like, that's the same with your website. You put it up there, you forget about it, and bits of it become old, cobwebby. They're not useful anymore. It's not serving you. It's not representing you. And I think having a user's journey of your own website, once again, maybe getting an external person to come in and look at it is a great way of freshening things up again. That's a great tip, Silvia. So I guess we're just kind of concluding now. So we've gone very quickly as usual. So let's go around the room. Has anyone got something from today or a nugget they want to share with our audience for the week ahead, going forward? Penny.
This morning we hired, do you remember Mary Gregory? She came on the show a couple of weeks ago, talked about ego, and I hired her this morning to do a webinar for our BIP 100 members. It was phenomenal. I absolutely loved it myself. And she was talking about ego and its impact on our resilience. And I thought that, a lot of people are needing to be resilient, even though there's a lot of hope. There's stuff going on in people's lives. And I just thought, digging into resilience is a really powerful, what makes you resilient. And one of the things that I thought I'd share a couple of the tips she said. So 2 things that both will resonate with all of us is, one is manage your well-being and your energy levels around resilience. If you've not slept well, etc., if you're not really taking time out in nature or meditating or doing anything that helps your well-being, you are going to be less resilient. The other one, which I liked, which I know is all up our street, we've talked about networking, is seek support. Don't be on your own, because that does affect resilience. If you don't have great connections with people that you can talk things through with. So I thought I'd leave that with people. Think about your network, but think about the people in your network that you trust, where you can really take your mask off. And I don't mean the COVID mask, I mean the mask that we hide behind, that you can really talk your truth through and talk things through with, because that's what makes a really big difference for me. And nobody is.
Thank you, Penny. I'm sorry we're running out of time. Sam,
oh gosh,
do you have a tip to share? Or you're on mute, darling. That old one.
There's always one. I'm going to jump on Silvia's bandwagon, and I love that. I love, first of all, about everyone you meet is not a wallet. So I'm going to keep posting that out. I love that. But also, I'm going to look at my website and encourage my clients, because you're right. We post it up, we put it up, we make it live, and we forget about it. So thanks for that, Silvia.
I would say, given that we feel so rushed and time poor at the moment, do build in some white space each day, literally to just go, regather before you hurl into another multitasking, chaotic busyness thing. Just have a breathe for 15 minutes. And then you find that you get a bit more control. So I'm going to thank you so much for coming in today, Silvia. I'm going to leave him to do the goodbyes. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Silvia. It was amazing. And thank you, ladies. Another great week. And I think some great tips and advice for people.
What's your tip? What's your tip, Kim?
What's my tip? Well, my tip would be to take, I guess, following from what all of you were saying, but take some time to think about actually are you getting everything that you need, whether that's for your business, for you personally, for your well-being, for your time? And be kind to yourself, because I think we can be a bit too critical and we can put ourselves too big a to-do list and not put ourselves on it. So I think it probably summed up everything you guys were saying. But if you'd like to get in touch, if you'd like to be a guest, you can find us at www.businessblondes.tv. And you too could be in the hot seat sharing amazing advice like Silvia. And we'll be back next week. So see you all then. Have a lovely week all. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.
Well done.